First, I'm gonna give you a crash course in the history of the World Wide Web, the internet. This is what it worked like when I started using it and developing for it. So you could publish things to a website and people could go there and look at it. And that was a revolution back then. But as you see, it's very much, there's one person creating stuff that a lot of people can consume. And it would look like this, perhaps, or like this. It wasn't very pretty, it was quite static. But then the revolution came, Web 2.0, if you heard that term. And this turned into this, so everyone could interact with the Flickr is a great example. All of a sudden, people could upload images and comment on images and vote on stuff, and blogs appeared, and you didn't have to be able to set up a server and write code to publish your thoughts to the internet, for good and bad. I mean, it's not all good. And then, not much has happened, actually. Responsive web was, it just works on different screen sizes, but it's still the same thing we're doing. And we found out how to make the perfect landing page. You have an exciting header, great subheader, and some good points and call to action and stuff. There's plenty of these on the web for you to look at. And then you fill it in. I've used the pharmacy here as an example throughout the presentation because we don't have any pharmacists as clients, so no one's feeling left out. And then you make that responsive, and that's it. That's what we've been doing for the last 5 years or so. It's been quite boring, actually, because when I started, I made CD-ROMs. Have you ever used a CD-ROM? No. And that died, so I had to change my career completely, and I became a Flash developer. Flash, Flash? Yeah, that died. So, and that's when I gave up developing, so I became a concept developer instead, so I don't actually have to learn anew. And, it's been like this, like I said, quite repetitive. I shouldn't complain. I mean, I love my work. It's a great job. And things happen. There's tiny little things happening, and then I noticed sort of a pattern. Some things started meshing together, and these are the things I will be talking about today. And they're not all clear-cut. A lot of them sort of overlap, but yeah, let's just go through this list and see. This is the most important thing. I mean, this is the driving force behind everything that happens on the web. Bandwidth and Moore's law. The processors get faster and faster, and we get more and more bandwidth, which means this, you've seen this quote. It's allegedly from the CEO of IBM back in 1943, when he said, I think there's a world market for maybe 5 computers. And I agree with him now in 2015, because if you think about it, if these would disappear, if these 5 companies would disappear completely from the internet, we'd hate it. And it happened once. Amazon have their web services. They realized it's really hard to run this big e-commerce site. You need a lot of throughput and quick response times, and not many people can build that back end, but Amazon had, so they started farming it out and selling their service to others. And then when they crashed one time a few years ago in a rainstorm, all of these sites disappeared from the internet because they're all running on Amazon's web service. So when they say there's like 5 computers, I'm thinking there's like these 5 massive hubs where we're putting basically everything. This is just a few of the things that run on web services. But what's in it for me? As a consumer, what are the benefits of better bandwidth and faster processors? And I've just a few examples that I love. Exposure. If you've used it, it's like you post your images on it. You click and drag it straight into the browser, and it becomes a really nice. The layout is great, and it works in mobile. It works on a big screen. It works on an iPad. photos for I took a picture of my kid and Google could recognize that, oh, it's snow in the image, so it added the animated snow. I don't have to do anything. The processor power is somewhere else. I don't even know where, and I get the image almost instantaneously back to me because we have great broadband in Sweden. Medium, of course, disappeared there. It's hard to make something ugly on medium because someone else somewhere else is using a lot of processing power to make it look beautiful, no matter if I don't know all the typographic rules. More technical bits, I love Markdown because I don't like HTML markup as much. So Markdown, you can read it as a human in the input form, and it looks great because someone else somewhere else is taking care of everything. There's the if this then that. You can do pretty complex stuff without even knowing how to code anymore. You say, if someone tweets me, then turn on the light or turn it blue, make it shine blue, and that's it. That's basically most of the time you spend just connecting your different services. Okay, here's my Twitter handle, here's my light bulb, and then it's easy peasy, because the processing power, everything is done by someone else somewhere else. And then stamp play, I tried to set it up, it was a bit too, it's basically if this then that, but for back-end developers. That's what I've been told. I haven't used it much, but one day I will, maybe. So this is it's like the developer goddess who takes care of my holiday snaps and make a beautiful photo album for me and animate them, and I don't have to do anything because she's done it once and has a server form. So that's one of the big things. Then there's content as data, but more on that later because that's what Camille is going to talk about, so I won't waste your time. And then there's the unbundling of functionality. Anyone else other than me who has Android phone? So some of you know this, but this is from February. Someone repinned my pin on Pinterest, so I get a notification in Android. This is what it looks like on an Android phone when I get a notification, and I wanted to brag about it, so I wanted to upload it, this screenshot, and I want a link to that uploaded screenshot so I could paste it and brag about it. So then I share it straight from notification. I press the share button, and I'm presented with all the different apps I have that can interact with images in different ways. Would I like to save it, send it? But I took the Imager, whatever. So I uploaded it, and once it's uploaded, it says, okay, now it's done. I get a new notification, and I can copy the URL straight from the notification. So I never open any apps. I don't have to go to the gallery. I don't have to go to Imager and copy-paste the link. Everything happens in the notifications. And there's a really good article, write this down. It's very good, you should read it. And it's about how the interaction model of smartphones is about to change completely. And you can see it already both on Android and iOS and Windows Phone, where the app is just a plug-in to the operating system. Yeah, it's sort of self-explanatory, but it's the new sort of interaction model. If you population of Sweden, and then you get a graph, and you can click and drag it, and all these numbers will change, and I'm still in Google search. I haven't left Google search. It's a bit like the unbundling of functionality, but with the whole card metaphor on top. So Etsy, I can add to my list, etc. I don't have to click through. Everything is sort of being chopped up in tiny pieces, and you do little small micro actions. You pin stuff, you send it, you like it, straight from the gallery view. And then there's the big thing that I'm here to talk about. And you know about beacons and how no one's really using that. Have you ever been to a store where you open the app and you get to see the dress that you're standing in front of? No? Do you have Bluetooth on? How many have Bluetooth on? I'd ask you. That's 5 of you. But, you know, it's a good idea, and I think eventually it's going to take off. And beacons are nice. I mean, it's going to be good eventually. But then you have GPS and you have Wi-Fi. You know the time it is, and you know the date, and you know what weather it is, etc. And then if the person has a user account, you have all that data you can use to create context, like shopping history and photos, friends, etc. So, like, you know, where are people? When are they? What's the weather like? Have they done anything else here? Are they moving? Who else is with them? So you use all that to predict the needs of the user. So this guy, he wants the bird guide, and that guy wants the photo app, for example, because that's what they do. They go to the forest and they take pictures of birds. Or this happens. So the sun would set in 40 minutes, and they're 30 minutes from the car, but they're walking in the opposite direction. So then you can send them a message and tell them it's time to turn back. And we can do this today in Chrome. And it's not super difficult or anything. We just have to make it. So this is how we've interacted with systems up until maybe 1 or 2 years ago. That you use, okay, I want to find out when's the next train. I start Chrome and I start Googling, I go to sg.se and I say, okay, I want to go from here to there, and when's the train? No, not, damn it, no. And then eventually you find out the data. But now this is happening. So you take, I think, if I took my phone, I should never try this, but you know, okay, I do. If I take out my phone, yeah, it's 53 minutes to my home address, and these are my different route options. So I can click on it and it will open Google Maps and it will show me different routes. And no, actually, I would like to walk. That would take me 4 hours and 20 minutes. So it's a bad idea. But anyway, I don't have to do anything because Google knows I'm not at home, and I should be, because usually I am by this time. And so let's just see what you can do with 2 data points. It's 3, actually, but let's pretend it's 2. It's a geolocation and 2 dates. And what can you do with that? First of all, you can turn that into an address and see it's in France. And then you can use the dates to map out, okay, it's a time span. And then you can start guessing, okay, he's not really from France. Maybe he would like the directions from the closest metro, like we just saw. And maybe we could show some pictures of France. And maybe we could tell him about the weather when he's going to be there. And maybe like where he should go based on where other people have gone, and where the locals go, and where do the tourists go, and what should he take pictures of, and where should he eat, and where, you know, listen to some French music and watch some movies, etc., etc. And that's from 3 data points. You can get all this today. It's not even complicated. Does it sound familiar to anyone? Yeah, it's Google now, basically. So this is what happened when I was going to Italy this Easter. So this showed up all of a sudden on my phone. And it had all the details. So here's your flight, when it's leaving, and where you're going to stay, and here's the weather, and it's basically what I just said. And here's the currency conversion. And this is what it looked like in my calendar. Here's a picture of the place you're going to stay, instead of just some, I don't have to add anything, I don't have to copy anything. Everything is just right there where I want it to be, because in this context, this is how it makes sense to me. And this is what it looks like in the inbox. So there we go, you get the map, you get the pictures, you get the flight numbers and everything, who's going, and everything, it's email. This is what email looks like nowadays. This is all email. And if you've seen email 18 years ago, this is quite impressive. And another thing, this was the biggest eye-opener, I guess, to me. Jobs to be done, have you heard about it? It's worth checking out. Have you heard about personas? Do you use personas to, okay, let's make a website, so we create the persona, And you say, oh, here's this guy, he's about 35 to 49. And he's married with 2 children, he's a homeowner, he works in the web industry, he likes to travel and read science fiction. Okay, so now I have this information that someone made up somewhere, and I'm supposed to make a website for a pharmacy. And the only useful bit would be the 2 kids, because then maybe I want diapers and diaper rash cream. But should I make the entire website about diapers just because an imaginary guy has 2 children? No, it's useless. Yeah. But then if you take, here's some person, whoever, and it's summer, and he visits the pharmacy site. He might want sunblock, right? It's not super complicated. And it's winter, he might want the lip chips, the thing for lips, and he might have dry hands. And even more interesting, actually he's at home and he visits the pharmacy website, or he's in the pharmacy and he visits the pharmacy website. Would he be interested in different things, maybe? Do you think so? Would I? Yes. I think so. So if I'm at home and I visit the pharmacy website, it could show, right, where are the stores? Are they far away? You order them, the closest one, and you tell them when will they close, etc. You can call the ones that are open. The other ones, there's no point calling them, so you just can send an email. And if it's on the desktop, you would get the phone number written out, but this is on a mobile phone, so of course you can press the button. And then you have it's Christmas, so let's have some discount as well. But then, if you're on location, you get the könummer. For you who don't speak Swedish, that's very important. Always get the könummer. You press a button and you get, so you know when your number's up, it's your turn to go to the counter and get help. Very important, but stupid, because sometimes it's a very long line, and you think, actually, I could go to Bolaget and buy some wine. But do I or don't I? Do I, don't I? If this is on my mobile phone, I can walk away with my könummer, and then it says, actually, it's your turn now, but you're so far away. Would you like to swap with the guy who's actually in store? Yeah, sure. Swap it. And then when I get back, I'm next in line. And then you could, the login user, you're here to pick up your special medication, so you have that already when you're in store. It displays that automatically, etc. And this is what we're trying to sell as the here concept. If you go to www.thepharmacy.se/here, and you could show all this information. Like, it would have to be responsive, because you don't know where people are until they launch it. But then it will find out where you are and will try to predict everything based on where you are, what time it is, what the weather like, what date is it. And then you could control objects like, okay, let's get that queue ticket, or let's turn on the lights, or whatever. And then it can send push notifications, of course, because you can do that in a browser nowadays from a website to a mobile phone if it's Android. But and that's where we are today. So this is possible to do today. It might sound like, oh, really? But no, yeah, sure, you can do it. And that's it, unless you have any questions.